Briefcase: the millionaire in disguise. 3 words that changed everything. A dramatic, emotional short story about honesty, humanity, and rediscovering one's purpose, told by a narrator. Chapter 1. The Man Who Was Tired of Success. Moscow. Late at night. From the tall glass towers of Moscow City, only one office still had its lights on. Inside sat a man in his mid-40s, wearing an expensive suit, but his face looked pale, exhausted, and strangely empty. His name was Alexei Gromov, a self-made millionaire and owner of the famous restaurant chain, Gromov's. People admired him, feared him, envied him. His name stood in glossy magazines, his restaurants in every big city. But if you looked into his eyes that night, you would see something missing. He sat silently at his massive desk, staring into the darkness beyond the glass window. In his hand was a cup of cold coffee. "Greater than, I have everything," he muttered, "and yet, I have nothing." Once, 20 years ago, he had been a dishwasher in a small, cheap cafe, dreaming of owning his own restaurant someday. He had worked hard, climbed every step, and built an empire. But success had its price. Now every day felt mechanical. Meetings, numbers, reports, and endless fake smiles. "Greater than, everyone smiles when they see me," he thought bitterly, "but who among them is honest? Who talks to me like a real person, not a millionaire?" And that night, something in Alexei snapped. He made a decision that would change his life forever. Chapter 2. The Secret Plan. The next morning, his entire head office gathered for a meeting. His team, sharp, ambitious, dressed to impress, didn't know that the plan he was about to announce involved himself. Alexei looked around the room. "We've been getting complaints about our service," he said calmly. "I want to see what's really happening inside my restaurants. Not through reports, but with my own eyes." The managers looked at one another, surprised. "You mean, send someone undercover?" one of them asked. Alexei nodded. "Yes, someone who'll work there as an ordinary employee, maybe a waiter. I need to know how my staff really treats customers, and each other." "That's a great idea, Alexei Ivanovich," said Svetlana, his HR director. "Who will you send?" Alexei allowed himself a small, mysterious smile. "I already know who." 3 days later, in one of his own restaurants in the center of Moscow, a new waiter appeared, Sergei Petrov. Scruffy beard, worn-out shoes, old glasses, simple shirt. No one recognized him. Chapter 3. A stranger among his own. Gromov's on Sretenka was one of his most profitable and elegant restaurants. But the moment Alexei, or rather Sergei, stepped inside, he realized something was wrong. The atmosphere was polite but cold. The waiters looked tired. Smiles seemed forced. The place had beauty, but no warmth. At the entrance stood the administrator, Marina, a tall woman with sharp eyes and an even sharper tone. "New guy?" she asked, without looking up from her clipboard. "Yes, ma'am, Sergei. I was told to start today." She sighed. "All right, Sergei. Aprons in the locker. Grab a tray. Don't drop anything. We don't need another slow one." He nodded silently. The millionaire, who used to give orders, was now the one taking them. He wiped tables, carried plates, greeted guests. His back ached, his hands were sore. But for the first time in years, he felt alive. He saw everything. How employees spoke to customers, how they whispered about tips, how managers scolded them for being too slow. "Greater than, so this is what they go through," he thought. "This is what my world looks like from the inside." Chapter 4. The Girl with the Kind Eyes. On his second day, during a short lunch break, he met Anya, a young waitress with bright eyes and a tired smile. Her hands were red from carrying trays, and yet she greeted everyone warmly. "Hey, Sergei, right?" she asked. "Don't worry, the first days are always the hardest. You'll get used to it. Her kindness surprised him. No arrogance, no pretending, just pure sincerity. You work here long? Alexei asked. 2 years, she replied. It's hard, but it pays for my mother's medicine. So I can't complain. She smiled. It wasn't a fake smile. It came from somewhere deep, from strength. And for some reason, Alexei couldn't stop thinking about her. Chapter 5. A harsh inspection. A week passed. Alexei had learned more in those 7 days than in the last 7 years. Then one afternoon, an unexpected guest arrived, an auditor from the main office. He came to inspect the restaurant. Arrogant, loud, condescending. He yelled at the cooks, humiliated the staff, and even mocked Anya when she served him soup. Who made this salad? It's tasteless, he barked. I did, Anya whispered. Figures. None of you here have any talent. Lazy. Useless. Alexei's hands clenched into fists. He wanted to scream, "You're fired." But he couldn't. Not yet. To everyone else, he was just Sergey, the waiter. That night, after closing, Anya hid in the storage room and cried quietly. Alexei found her there. "Hey," he said gently. "Don't take it to heart. You did nothing wrong. He's just one of those people." Anya wiped her eyes. "I'll be fine," she whispered. And then, she said 3 words that made Alexei freeze in place. Greater than, "I'll endure everything." Those words echoed in his mind. They were the same words he used to tell himself 20 years ago when he washed dishes in the back of a dirty cafe. He looked at her, a simple girl who worked 12 hours a day and still smiled. And at that moment, he realized, she was stronger than most millionaires he knew. Chapter 6. The reveal. The next morning, the restaurant buzzed with excitement. The owner himself was coming to visit. Everyone straightened their uniforms, polished glasses, and whispered nervously. When Alexei entered, now in his true form, clean-shaven, in a tailored suit, the staff stared in shock. Marina, the administrator, turned pale. The chef nearly dropped his ladle. Anya froze, her eyes wide. Alexei stood before them all, serious but calm. Then he reached up, removed his glasses, and smiled faintly. "Yes," he said quietly. "It was me, Sergey. Was me." The room went silent. You could hear the ticking of the clock. "I came here to see how things truly work. To see how people are treated when no one's watching. And what I saw," he paused, "broke my heart." He turned to Marina. "You treat employees like machines. You measure effort in seconds, not in sincerity. That ends today." Marina tried to speak, but he stopped her with a hand. "You're dismissed. Effective immediately." Then he turned to Anya. "And you reminded me what it means to fight. To endure. To care. From today, you're the new manager of this restaurant." The staff gasped. Anya's eyes filled with tears. "But I don't deserve that," she whispered. Alexei smiled. "You earned it the day you said, 'I'll endure everything.' Because that's the spirit that built this place. Not money. Heart. Chapter 7. A new beginning. Under Anya's management, everything changed. She treated the team like family. Laughter returned to the kitchen. Customers noticed. They felt the warmth, the sincerity. Within a month, reviews about Gromov's on Sretenka flooded social media. People called it the most human place in Moscow. Alexei often visited quietly, sitting by the window with a cup of tea. Watching the people who now smiled not because they had to, but because they wanted to. One evening, Anya approached him. "Good evening, Sergey. Or should I say, Alexei Ivanovich." He smiled. "Just Alexei, please." She laughed softly. "You know, when I first met you, I thought you were too quiet for a waiter." He chuckled. "Maybe I was. But you were exactly what this place needed." There was a long pause. Then he said, "Those 3 words you said, they changed everything." Anya tilted her head. What 3 words? He looked at her kindly. I'll endure everything. You reminded me what strength really looks like. She smiled. Then I'm glad you were listening. Chapter 8. The Legacy of 3 Words. Months passed. The restaurant became a model for all others in the chain. Alexei's new policy was simple. Greater than, treat people like people, not like tools. He raised salaries, shortened shifts, and started visiting his restaurants without warning. But now, not to punish, rather to talk, to listen, to understand. Each location now had a small plaque on the wall, engraved with the same phrase that had once changed his life. Greater than, I'll endure everything. Whenever a new employee joined, they were told the story, about a girl who believed in kindness and a millionaire who had to become a waiter to rediscover humanity. Chapter 9. Epilogue. The Real Wealth. A year later, Alexei stood again in his office at night. The view of the city hadn't changed. But something inside him had. He wasn't chasing numbers anymore. He was building something real, a company where dignity mattered more than profit. He looked at a photo on his desk, a team of smiling restaurant workers with Anya in the center. Underneath was a note in her handwriting. Greater than, thank you for believing that people matter more than success. Alexei smiled. A genuine, warm smile that he hadn't shown in years. He whispered to himself, greater than, now I finally understand what wealth really means. And for the first time in a long time, he felt at peace. Moral of the story. Money can build restaurants, but only people can fill them with soul. Sometimes, to see the truth, you must step down from the top and walk among those who keep your world alive. Because greatness isn't measured in millions. It's measured in humanity.